Hello happy crocheters, this is Lindsay from windingroadcrochet.com and today I'm going to show you how to make this really cute pot holder. If you like this tutorial, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. This is the pot holder that we are making. It is made with two center pieces that are put together so it's nice and thick in the center, and then we simply add a border around it and a little loop to be able to hang up your pot holder. For this project, you're going to need two colors of cotton yarn. This is a size 4 worsted weight yarn, and I do recommend cotton for anything that is going to be around heat. We are also going to need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle for weaving in our ends, and a size I or 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. To get started, take your center color yarn and we are going to make a slip knot and we're going to chain 22. This pot holder is about 9 inches by 9 inches, and if you'd like to make it larger you can. Just make sure you chain an even number of chains. I call this item a pot holder. I know a lot of people call it a hot pad. I'd love to know what you call it in the comments below. Once you have 22 chains, we are going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. I am going to work into the back bumps of the chain, but you can work into this chain any way you like. So we are going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook and every chain across. You should have a total of 21 single crochets when you complete this row. When you complete row 1, we are going to chain 1 and turn. Start our textured pattern. So in our very first stitch we are going to single crochet, and then in the same stitch we're going to work a double crochet. Then skip a stitch, and in the following stitch work a single crochet and a double crochet. And we are going to repeat this all the way to the end of the row. So one more time, we're going to skip a stitch and work both a single and a double crochet into the following stitch. Make sure you work a double crochet and not a half double crochet as I just did. Repeat this all the way to the end of the row. When you reach the end of the row, you'll have 2 stitches left over. Skip the first stitch and single crochet into the very last stitch. Now we just need to repeat row 2 until we have a total of 19 rows. So again, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to work a single crochet and a double crochet into the first stitch. So a single crochet and a double crochet into the exact same stitch. Then we will skip a stitch, move to the next stitch and work a single crochet and a double crochet. Again, skip a stitch and work a single crochet and double crochet into the next stitch. You may notice that you're working your stitches into all of the single crochets of the previous row. Repeat this all the way to the end of the row. When you reach the end of the row, skip a stitch and single crochet into the very last stitch. Again, we're just going to repeat this row until you have a total of 19 rows. So here I've worked up my 19 rows. It is almost the same size as my previous piece because yes, you do need to make 2 of these pieces. I'm going to chain 1, and to work row 20, we are just going to single crochet in every stitch across. That will give us a nice straight edge at the top of our pot holder. When you make it all the way across, you'll notice that this is my second piece. If it was your first piece, you would go ahead and fasten off. So this piece here I made and I fastened off. But my second piece, I do not want to fasten off. Instead, we are going to continue crocheting, and we're going to crochet around these two pieces to join them together. To do this, hold your two pieces together and chain one. Push your hook through the side of the last row. So I'm going around the single crochet of the last row, and then I'm finding the same single crochet of the second piece and going under that as well. So I'm going through both of my pieces. I'm pulling up a strand of yarn and making a single crochet. Then I am moving to the side of the next stitch. I'm going under both sides of the row and creating a single crochet to join them. So again, going under both sides of the row and making a single crochet. I'm going to do this all the way down our project. Ideally, you should have a total of 20 single crochets down the side of your work because we had 20 rows that we worked. Joining our two pieces together like this does not only join the pieces together, but it also gives us a foundation in order to work our border into. When you make it all the way to your bottom corner, in order to turn the corner, we are going to chain two and then rotate our work so we are working into the opposite side of our starting chain. I'm also just going to take my two yarn ends and just tuck them into the center of the pot holder. You're welcome to weave them in if you like, but I don't think it's necessary. Because I worked into the back bumps of my starting chain, this actually looks like it's the top of the stitch, which is why I like to work into the back bumps. But this is in fact my starting chain. Yours may look different if you worked into the chain differently. I'm going to go under both pieces of crochet's starting chain. The way I did it makes it a little tough to get under, but it is only 21 stitches that you have to go under. So once it's done, you won't be this difficult again. So once again, what I am doing is working into the opposite side of our starting chain, still working through both pieces of crochet. And you want to continue doing this until you reach your next corner. When you reach the next corner, we are going to chain two and rotate our work so that we are working into the sides of rows 1 through 20, just like we did on the other side. So going into the side of the rows, we're going to pick up our yarn and single crochet. Just make sure you are going through both layers of crochet in order to join them together. And just continue until you reach the next corner. So here we've reached our third corner. Again, we are going to chain two, and we'll be working into the top of row 20. So since we're working into the top of stitches, this should be a very easy row to work. So again, we're just going under the top of both stitches for both pieces of crochet. Until we reach the very first corner. When you make it back to your very first corner, we're just going to finish up by chaining two and slip stitching to the very first single crochet of this border row. At this point, you can fasten off. We have a nice starting row to do our border. Just fasten off, yarn over, and pull the yarn end through the last loop on your hook. Now we have a nice little pot holder, but we're going to fancify it a little bit more by adding a border. To start our border, just make a slip knot, and then we're going to make a standing half double crochet. Use your finger to hold the loop on your hook and yarn over. You can also hold the yarn in to hold everything in place. Insert your hook into the chain 2 space, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. You may have to grab that yarn end again to hold all the loops in place and keep them from rotating. This is our first half double crochet. Now we're going to work one more half double crochet into that chain 2 corner space. Now we are going to work a half double crochet into every stitch down this side of the potholder. When you reach the next chain 2 corner space, we are going to work 3 half double crochets into that corner space. So we have 1, 2, and 3. And you'll want to take note of that center half double crochet. This is what I'm going to be calling the corner stitch, and we are going to be working into that in a different way during the next 2 rows. So I'm just going to mark that corner stitch with a stitch marker to remember it. Now we are going to continue working down the next side, working 1 half double crochet into every stitch until we reach the next chain 2 corner space. When you reach your next chain 2 corner space, we are going to repeat the process and work 3 half double crochets into the chain 2 space. Again, if you like, you can mark that center half double crochet with a stitch marker, as that will be our corner stitch. Now we're going to half double crochet in each stitch around, work 3 more half double crochets into the chain 2 space until we reach the very last corner. When you reach this corner, we are going to work 1 more half double crochet into this corner and then slip stitch to the very first half double crochet. This will finish row 1 of our border. To begin row 2 of our border, we are going to chain 1 and work 2 half double crochets into the very first stitch. So 1 and 2. Now for this row and the next, we are going to be working in what they call the back middle bar or the 3rd loop. Let me show you what I mean. Here I have the top of a stitch. The first loop is called the front loop, and this loop is called the back loop. We would normally go under the stitch like this. What we're going to actually be doing is working into the back middle bar, which is on the back of our project. So here you have our front loop, here's our back loop, and this horizontal bar right here is our back middle bar. So we are going to be working into this area right here on the back of our stitch. So let's go ahead and begin our row. So I'm going to yarn over, turn my work forward so that I can work into that 3rd loop or that back middle bar. Again, yarn over, turn the work forward so our front and our back loop is getting turned forward out of the way so that we can reach the back middle bar. And just continue crocheting a half double crochet in the back middle bar of each stitch around until you reach our corner stitch that we marked with a stitch marker. Working this way will turn the front and the back loop forward, leaving what looks almost like a knitted pattern on the front of our work. So here we are coming up to our corner stitch. It is the middle of the 3 half double crochets that were in that chain 2 space. I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and in that corner stitch we are going to work 3 normal half double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll rotate to work down the next side of our border. You can remark that center half double crochet with your stitch marker if you like. And then turning to go down the next side, we are going to continue to half double crochet in the back middle bar. And continue working that way until you reach your next corner. When you reach your next corner, again you'll work 3 half double crochets in the corner stitch and continue this all the way around until we reach the very beginning of the row. At the very beginning of the row, we'll work 1 more half double crochet into that first stitch, and then we are going to chain 10 in order to create a loop. When you have 10 chains, just simply slip stitch to the very first half double crochet. That is row 2 of our border. Now for row 3, our final row, we are going to chain 1, and we are simply going to single crochet in the back middle bar of every stitch until we reach that corner stitch. So we will chain 1, rotate our work forward so we can reach the back middle bar, and just single crochet into the back middle bar of every stitch. Continue working a single crochet in the back middle bar until you reach that corner stitch that is marked with a stitch marker. When you reach your corner stitch, I'm just going to remove my stitch marker. We don't need it anymore because this is the last row. I'm going to work 3 single crochets into that corner stitch. Then working down the next side, we will work single crochets in the back middle bar. So make sure you turn your work forward so you can reach that back middle bar. Work single crochets all the way down until the next corner stitch. Work 3 single crochets into your corner stitch, and repeat that all the way around your project until we're back to the beginning of the row. When you make it back to the beginning of the row, you can see how we worked the 3 single crochets in the corner. Now we are just going to thicken up this loop by working 13 single crochets around the chain. So going into the big 10 chain space, we're working 13 single crochets. That'll just make your loop nice and thick and easy to hang up. Once you have 13 single crochets, we are just going to fasten off. So I'm going to lay this down, fasten off with enough of a yarn end to weave in my end. We're going to yarn over and pull the yarn in through the last loop on the hook. And then I'm going to use a yarn needle to sew my first and last stitch of this row together. So I'm going to go under the stitch, go under the last stitch, and I'm going to make 2 or 3 stitches just to secure this well, and then I'll weave in my end. You want to make sure that you weave in your end back and forth at least 3 times so that you can put this item in the wash if necessary. Go ahead and weave in all the rest of your yarn ends, and your project is done. Go ahead and make as many as you need for your kitchen. They also make wonderful gifts and they look great in all different colors. So I really hope you enjoyed this crochet pattern and you will check out my other crochet patterns. And as always, thank you so much for watching.